You put your hand in an anthill and you got unexpectedly bitten by ants? Those are the people who make us look stupid and unreasonable. Hey, you want to paint wokeness as hypocritical and evil? I'll pose for you. Well, done, Sam and Max. The point of a toxically woke tirade is not to solve the problem. It's to... If you are in any way connected to the gaming industry, you probably heard about the Godot controversy by now. If not, I'll bring you up to speed just in case. And even if you have no interest in gaming whatsoever, I think you should still tune in because this is such a good case of how to handle extremism on both sides. Alright, let's dive in. About a week ago, some random dude posted a reply to a tweet in which a developer was talking about a game they're developing on an Unreal Engine 5. The reply, to put it mildly, was a bit daft. That's what he says. It makes sense, doesn't it? Woke studios always use pre-built engines to make games because they can't build their own engines. I mean, oh no, somebody on the internet is wrong. Call the cavalry! Or, you could just live your life and ignore stupid people. I think this is the only sensible way to respond this whole thing, is like, not at all. Particularly since this guy is just like a complete nobody. I mean, look at the guy's profile, Krzysztof Jonsson. I mean, he's from Warsaw, Poland. He is a boy, and I mean, his name is Krzysztof, not Krzysztof, and he's got like 3 followers. I mean, who cares? Anyway, 3 days later, Godot, an open source gaming engine, decided to do otherwise. Apparently some engines are woke now? Well then, we won't complain. Rainbow emoji. Show us your WoCod games below. And they started this hashtag WoCod. On the face of it, this could have been like an attempt to turn this into a publicity stunt. I mean, anything to get your brand name out there, right? But it doesn't seem like in this case it was it, because the community manager who manages Godot's account was quickly identified, and it seems like they're the kind of person who would generally want to turn this into an opportunity for some sort of LGBTQ plus visibility. Oh bless. Honestly, I'm not sure what to think about this. I mean, usually when businesses get involved in these sort of moral or political discussions, it's frankly distasteful and disingenuous, and they just do it for profit because they really only want to make some money on it. But sometimes it can have positive effects as well. So I'm kind of a bit on the fence about this, but in this case, it does seem at least like it was like a genuine expression of the company's, or at least of Nat's personal or political views. So at least it wasn't like, trying to make a buck out of it. So whether companies should have these sort of political views turned into a whole big discussion on Godot, but that's not what I want to focus on. The question to me isn't whether Godot or any particular people should have taken a stance on it. The question is how they did it. Mostly, I just think it was incredibly naive to post this. I mean, obviously, this tweet has turned into a massive flame war with a lot of hate being poured onto Godot and a lot of hate being poured back on the haters. Basically, the whole thing was like a microcosm of everything that is wrong with social media these days, maximizing engagement through fanning the flames and hate. I mean, Elon Musk is the winner in here, if anybody. Anyway, why was posting that naive? Well, if you don't know, the gaming industry is going through a little bit of a cultural backlash right now. Ubisoft, a huge studio, is in the middle of a massive storm over diversity gone wild situation within the bunch of games they've been developing recently, and there are just loads of anti-woke conspiracy theories floating around. Other studios are getting in problems. It's a whole thing. So what exactly were you thinking when posting this, Nat? But all you'll get is replies from indie studio developers singing Kumbaya together? I mean, you broke the first rule of the internet. Don't feed the trolls. Haters thrive on conflict. You just gave them what they want. I mean, how is anyone surprised how this has developed? But so far, I'd say that this was just dumb and naive. I mean, whatever. Walk on and don't engage with any stupid discussions. That would be my take on it. But it's what happened next that is the real problem. Because Nat, or whoever was managing Godot's account at this point, started banning people for posting negative comments, or really for posting anything short of unconditional support, or even banning their own supporters, or like, it really got out of hand. Look at this one. Somebody got banned for tweeting, "I deeply believe that any political discussion that puts labels to a group of people is one that should not have started." This is not only right, this is totally what I would say, it is also a quote, a direct quote from Godot's own founder, and they got banned for posting this. I mean, that is a little bit much, eh? Now, the situation really worsened when Xananax, a moderator on the unofficial Godot-related Discord channels, decided to don his shining armor and go on a massive banning spree, targeting absolutely anyone who had anything negative to say about the whole thing. Now, I want to say that I really understand that when you're in the middle of a storm like this, it's kind of hard to think straight. So Nat, Xananax, all the other people in Godot, whoever you are, I get it. Like, you're feeling attacked, you're not thinking straight, and banning people left, right, and center might have seemed like a great idea at the time. And to anyone who would blame them for this, and there are a lot of people who did, I just recommend a good long look in the mirror. I mean, how would you react in this sort of situation? Are you always keeping your cool and being super professional when you feel under attack and like a lot of hate is being poured on you from all the sides? I mean, give people a little bit of like, okay, they were stressed. So, stop pointing at the splinter in your brother's eye and all that. The point is, it's human to make bad decisions under stress. So just wait for Godot to cool down a little bit, catch their breath, and respond properly. And this is where it gets really interesting to me, because 3 days later, Godot did release an official statement about this. But a day earlier, Xananax also released an official statement about this. And how different are those two statements? But before we look at what great examples of positive and toxic wokeness those two things represent, let's clarify something. Is banning people okay? I want to take guidance in here from Bertrand Russell. So he wasn't just a great philosopher, a pioneer of open relationships, and also looked absolutely amazing with a pipe. He was also a staunch pacifist. So Russell deeply believed in resolving conflict through dialogue and not violence. And this was deeply rooted not only in his philosophy, but also in his experiences from the First World War and the devastation that it has caused. However, as Hitler gained power in Germany, Russell started strongly and vehemently arguing that Britain should join the war, even if it means a lot of violence. Why? Well, because he thought that in the face of really extreme oppression and violence, armed resistance is absolutely justified, and the consequences of letting fascism spread were far worse than the violence and destruction that the war itself would cause. Now, his thoughts from this trickled down to us in the form of this Nazi bar analogy. Do you know it? It's like, if you own a bar and a person expressing Nazi views shows up to your bar, you might go like, maybe they're not that bad. Maybe I can reason with them. Maybe you start talking to them and all that. And before you know, another person like this comes in and another person like this comes in. And soon you find yourself running a bar filled with Nazis. What else can you do is to basically throw out the first Nazi who shows up to your bar and never have them in there in the first place. Alright, so was what Nat and Xananax were doing just throwing out Nazis out of their bar? I think that this is where the crux of the matter and the defining characteristic of toxic wokeness are. Because for a moment it seemed like Nat and Xananax were treating just everyone like Nazis, the people who are posting hateful comments, the people who are a bit sarcastic, the people who are just like not super supportive of them, or I don't know, just a bit dismissive or whatever. They were all Nazis to them. And, maybe not Nazis, maybe, like sexist, LGBT phobic, racist, hateful, whatever, pick your equivalent. The question is, are they all Nazis or equivalent? Because sure, ban the people who are actually engaging in hate speech and incite violence, but don't follow the slippery slope of banning absolutely everyone who disagrees with your views. It is very easy to be horrible to people if you label them as Nazis. In fact, if you keep doing that, maybe you run a bit of a danger of becoming a bit of a Nazi yourself, eh? In fact, it's one of the defining characteristics of extreme ideologies is that they shut themselves down for dissenting voices and consider everything that is not agreeing with them to be wrong and unacceptable and dismiss it without any discussion. But let's get back to our story. I have all the understanding for people who react badly when they're under pressure. Should they do better? Yeah, probably. But, we've all done this. Like, give them a little bit of slack. But it's as long as, after they had some time to cool down and rethink the situation, they rectified their mistakes. Both Xananax and the Godot leadership at large had time to do so, and they did. 2 days later, Xananax released a statement in which he pretty much doubles down on all of his previous decisions. He basically admits to thinking that all of those people are equivalent to Nazis, because he says something like, they are the filth of humanity and banning them is a kindness to everyone, including themselves. And then he further confirms that he doesn't really want to engage with anyone whose views differ from his, when he writes, they should be doing those tweets every 30 minutes, and anyone who has a problem with that can off to oblivion and then off some more. And anyone having any slight issue with it here can off too. Wow. What a knight in a shining armor indeed. The queer community is so grateful for your service. Or is it? Because here's the thing. Did Xanax's bans actually prevent any hate? Did they really protect the queer community? Did they make the haters go like, oh gosh, I didn't think about it like this. Maybe a queer community can make queer games and that's all just fine. Let's celebrate it all together. Or did they make them go, oh my god, those people are even worse than I thought. Woke and fragile snowflakes. I'm going to go through every channel I know right now and post about this. And subsequently go everywhere they could and created loads of content that subjected the queer community to even more hate than they had before. I mean, well done, Xanax. Thank you so much for your service. You have really done us a solid one. But that is the problem with toxic wokeness. It doesn't care about the consequences. All it cares about is appearing righteous. Appearances and feelings are much more important than the way things actually are. The point of a toxically woke tirade is not to solve the problem. It's to make the speaker appear morally superior and righteous. The problem can continue or get worse. I don't care as long as I get to feel smug about it. Fortunately, the foundation was a bit smarter. We had to wait for Godot and their statement for another day, but I think, and people disagree on this, fair enough, but I think it was worth it and it wasn't too bad. So they gave us two statements, one about the whole situation and another one about Xanax specifically. So here they are. Now, I'm not saying those statements are perfect. There are obvious problems with them. I mean, for one, unexpectedly, really? Like, you put your hand in an anthill and you got unexpectedly bitten by ants? You walk into a biker bar wearing a rainbow tutu and you got unexpectedly denied service? You forgot to state your pronouns at a queer circle and you got unexpectedly given a 5-hour inclusivity awareness lecture? I mean, give me a break. The statements also minimize the importance of the unofficial Discord server, which was probably linked on the official Godot website, but, skip that. And frankly, they just never properly apologize to the people who were banned unfairly. But, okay, fair enough. They've got their image to uphold. I think that overall, the statements are good. And assuming they were written in good faith, here's why I think that. Well, first of all, they actually acknowledge responsibility for the whole overreaction. They offer a clear method for rectifying the mistakes, although, to be honest, it's far less than perfect because, why should you have to do something to get your account unbanned? And also, they require you to post your email address, which is a privacy issue. But, maybe that's the best they could do. I don't know. They also stand firmly in their commitment to throw out actual Nazis out of their bar. And not only this, they offer an actual mechanism for recognizing or telling the Nazis from all the other people. And that is their community guidelines code of conduct. But what's important to me in here is that they clearly condemn Xanax's behavior and even get close to condemning his hateful, just harmful language. But overall, I think that this is a reasonably okay way to handle these sort of situations if you want to stay committed to your progressive values. Sure, it would have been so much better if this whole thing has never started and you never messed up in the first place. But, shit happens and this is where they were. And honestly, if you never do stupid things like that yourself, then throw the first stone. What is important is that they were able to cool down, own up to their mistake, and at the same time actually stay true to their own professed values. I think that's great. And most importantly, they were also able to distance themselves and disavow the toxic wokeness of Xanax. Because by all means, protect your bar from the Nazis coming from the outside. But pay close attention to what's going on inside as well, because you don't want your own bouncers becoming Nazis themselves, eh? I think that all too often, sensible people on both sides of the political spectrum kind of don't really want to condemn the more extreme sides on both sides because they feel like they will annoy their base or something like this. And they try to protect their tribe, even if it means, that people who are obviously toxic get to stay in it. Because there are plenty of conservative extremists out there, and the sensible conservatives should do more to condemn them. But there are also plenty of liberal extremists out there, and the sensible liberals should also do what they can to condemn them and distance themselves from it. In particular, I think we should do more to condemn anyone who is much more interested in feeling righteous and receiving the validation of their tribe than in actually doing the right thing and doing the thing that actually helps us. Those are the people who make us look stupid and unreasonable. It's like they were literally inviting people from the other side and go like, hey, you want to paint wokeness as hypocritical and evil? I'll pose for you. Do not validate such people. Do not give them attention and do not reward their posturing. Think past what makes us feel righteous and good and into what actually makes a difference and makes the world a better place. I'm really happy that Godot, imperfectly, but Godot have done it. Now I'm waiting for the rest of us.